Welcome to This Is How We Heal with naturopath, herbalist and author Anthia. With over 3 decades of clinical experience guiding thousands on their healing journeys, Anthia invites you into honest, heartfelt conversations about what really gets in the way of health and healing and what gently brings us back to ourselves. If you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, overwhelmed by wellness noise, or just yearning to feel like yourself again, you're in the right place. This podcast is for anyone feeling burnt out, lost in a sea of symptoms, or simply longing for a deeper connection to their health, their body, and their truth.
Hello and welcome. I'm Anthia, and this is How We Heal, a space where we pause, reflect, and look beneath the surface of our symptoms to find deeper pathways back to health. In today's episode, we're going to talk about inflammation. It's a word that comes up everywhere. It's blamed for joint pain, fatigue, skin flare-ups, gut issues, brain fog, and even mood disorders. And yes, inflammation can be behind all of those things. But here's the part that's often missed. Inflammation isn't always the enemy. It's also the body's ancient protector, a messenger, a communication, a way of saying, pay attention. The problem begins with that message never switches off. When inflammation becomes chronic, it quietly shapes our health in profound ways. So today, we're going to explore what inflammation really is, what drives it in modern life, how to recognize the signs, what foods fuel the fire, and what foods and habits can gently cool and calm it. I'll also share practical steps, reflection questions, and ways to support your body in a gentler, holistic way. Let's begin. Inflammation is the body's natural defense response. It's how your immune system reacts to injury, infection, or any perceived threat. When it's acute, inflammation is your friend. It's short-term, protective, and essential. Think of a cut on your finger. It becomes red, warm, and swollen. That's inflammation bringing in immune cells and nutrients to fight infection and repair tissue. Once the job is done, the body switches it off. But chronic inflammation is different. It's like a smoldering fire that never quite goes out. Silent, lingering, and often unnoticed. It slowly damages the tissues it touches. This low-grade fire can affect almost every part of us. Constant fatigue, anxiety, depression, irritability, bloating, food reactions, IBS-style symptoms, frequent colds, flare-ups, or autoimmune activity, and that sense of fragility, depletion, or never quite being well. Sometimes inflammation whispers, such as brain fog, afternoon crashes, food sensitivities, mood dips, and sometimes it shouts out pretty loud, joint pain, skin flare-ups, sinus congestion, or ongoing digestive upsets. The earlier we listen, the easier it is to intervene. Awareness is the first stop to healing. When we talk about inflammation, we're really talking about capacity and load. Your body has a certain capacity to digest, detoxify, repair, and regulate. Modern life piles on the load: food, stress, toxins, light at the wrong times, emotional pressure. Inflammation rises when the load exceeds capacity. Let's explore the major drivers. Number 1, food and metabolic stress. Ultra-processed foods, refined sugars, and industrial oils such as vegetable oils spike blood sugar and promote insulin resistance. Additives and alcohol irritate the gut and liver. These foods are far from nature and they keep the immune system switched on. Think about your last week of eating. Where were the real foods and where were the packaged quick fixes? Number 2, gut imbalance. A microbiome lacking diversity produces more endotoxins. Endotoxins are toxic fragments from gut bacteria, mainly lipopolysaccharides, that can leak into the bloodstream and trigger inflammation. Leaky gut allows them into circulation. This keeps inflammation humming in the background. After meals, do you feel light and steady or gassy and foggy? 3. Chronic stress. When the nervous system is stuck in fight or flight, cortisol drips all day. Digestion slows, sleep fragments, and inflammation rises. Notice your breath right now. Is it shallow or is it full? Number 4, circadian rhythm and sleep disruption. Blue light at night, late meals, irregular sleep confuse your body's clock. Even one short night raises inflammatory markers. Think of your last 3 nights. Were they in rhythm? Were they disjointed? Number 5, environmental toxins. Air, water, personal care products, and even inside our homes and workplaces, we can find an invisible load. They are toxic chemicals. They can also come from pesticides in our food, plastics in the food packaging, and mold that might be on the walls inside our homes. All can tip the immune system toward inflammation. How does your home smell when you first walk in? Is it fresh? Does it smell damp and moldy? Or do you smell that chemical clean? Number 6, emotional strain. Unprocessed grief, anger, trauma live in the body as much as the mind. Loneliness and disconnection also raise inflammation. Is there a feeling you've been carrying alone? Who helps your body feel safe? Number 7, hormones and metabolism. Hormones such as insulin, estrogen, thyroid hormones, cortisol. When these are out of balance, inflammation rises. Do your symptoms flare at certain points in your cycle or when you're feeling stressed? Number 8, nutrient deficiencies. Not enough omega-3 essential fatty acids, magnesium, zinc, vitamin D, or folate make it harder for the body to resolve inflammation. Which foods in your week bring color, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and natural vibrancy? You might be missing in important elements. Number 9, hidden infections and histamine. Oral health issues, gut overgrowths, and histamine intolerance can spike and create silent sparks for inflammation. Do your flares occur after certain foods or seasons or particular stressors? And number 10, medication and other medical factors. Some medications will alter the gut barrier or nutrient levels. So here is where context matters. Supporting the body alongside essential medication is key. So what drives inflammation? Load outweighing capacity. When we lighten the load and rebuild capacity, one small shift happens at a time. Now let's look at food. Some foods stoke the flames of inflammation, and they include sugar, pastries, white bread, which spike blood sugar, leading to insulin resistance and inflammatory release. Notice how your body feels after a sugary snack. Do you feel energized for a moment, then suddenly flat, foggy, or irritable? Well, that's your body whispering that inflammation may be at play. And what about processed meats and fried foods? These create oxidative stress through damaged fats and compounds formed during high heat cooking. Notice if you experience any rashes, hives, or itchy skin after eating these foods. And food, additives, and fast foods which contain them. Preservatives, colors, emulsifiers irritate the gut, disturb your gut microbiome, weaken the gut barrier, and keep the immune system switched on. Think about how you feel after a heavy takeaway meal. Do you feel clear and nourished or heavy, sluggish, and bloated? That feedback's important. Excess alcohol and caffeine also irritate the gut lining and overload your liver. Notice if you feel racy, headachy, or sluggish. And ultra-processed snacks, the quick, convenient things that we grab on the go. nutrient poor, microbiome disrupting. They feed the bacterial overgrowths that are opportunistic, especially when we don't have enough healthy, beneficial bacteria. Notice if you feel hungrier, tired, and achy in your joints after you eat some of these ultra-processed foods. Industrialized seed oils, like the ones we've mentioned, soy, corn, canola, sunflower, cottonseed, all wrapped up as vegetable oils, are quite high in omega-6, which pushes the body towards pro-inflammatory signaling. Notice if you feel sore, achy, or experience quickiness in your joints after you eat these foods. And then there's the nightshades, also known as the Solanaceae family. They include tomatoes, white potatoes, eggplants, capsicum, and chili. For some people, alkaloids in these foods can irritate the joints or the gut. And for some people, histamine-rich foods such as aged cheeses, wine, fermented foods like sauerkraut. In sensitive people, they can overload the histamine pathways and trigger mast cell activation. Notice if you experience nasal congestion or itchiness or rash or tummy upset after you eat these foods. Food can also put the fire out, cool us and calm us. Certain foods have the ability to lower systemic inflammation by modulating oxidative stress, supporting the gut microbiome and regulating immune pathways. And they include leafy greens and colorful vegetables. Vegetables such as spinach, kale, rocket, beetroot, and carrots are dense sources of antioxidants like C, E, and carotenoids. These neutralize free radicals and reduce oxidative stress. What is oxidative stress? Well, it's caused by excessive free radicals from factors like poor diet, pollution, toxins, infections, smoking, alcohol, and chronic stress, combined with insufficient antioxidants from our diet. So beneficial vegetables, those that are quite colorful and green, rich in antioxidants, also feed beneficial gut bacteria, which produce metabolites that strengthen the gut lining and lower inflammation throughout the gut and the body. And omega-3s, which come from plants like hemp and chia and walnuts, but mostly they come from EPA DHA, which are omega-3s found in wild fish and grass-fed animals. So we always choose grass-fed and wild fish and seafood over grain-fed animals. These EPA's DHAs are converted into things called resolvins and protectants, compounds that actively switch off inflammatory pathways. These healthy fats regulate immune cell activity, lower inflammatory production, and protect the cardiovascular system as well as your nervous system. And activated nuts and seeds are really good for you. By soaking nuts and seeds, we reduce something called phytates. Phytates inhibit the uptake of minerals, making them less bioavailable. Minerals such as magnesium are important because they help relax blood vessels and regulate inflammatory cascades. Zinc, another mineral, modulates immune function and wound healing. Selenium supports glutathione, one of the body's most potent antioxidant enzymes. And the healthy fats of activated nuts and seeds also contain important fats that stabilize our cell membranes, making them less prone to inflammatory damage. Soaked legumes and whole grains are other important foods that cool and calm. When we soak and cook legumes and grains well, we prepare them for digestion. And that processing or preparation at the home end helps us create really important metabolites called short-chain fatty acids. Butyrate, being one of the most important ones, fuels the colon, reduces that gut permeability or leaky gut, and directly calms inflammatory signaling in the gut and beyond. These short-chain fatty acids also influence regulatory T cells, promoting immune tolerance rather than hyperactivity. And of course, we have our herbs and spices such as turmeric and ginger, rosemary and garlic, and cinnamon. Turmeric's curcumin inhibits a master regulator of inflammation, while gingerols in ginger reduce inflammatory synthesis. Rosemary contains some special ingredients which are both anti-inflammatory and antioxidant, and garlic modulates immune function and enhancing detox pathways. Cinnamon has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity and reduce inflammatory markers. Now let's look beyond food, some simple practices that turn down the heat. Inflammation is not only driven by what we eat, it is also shaped by how we lived as we discovered the underlying causes and contributing factors. Daily practices can profoundly regulate immune signaling, stress hormones, and the body's repair systems. So, prioritize deep restorative sleep because during slow wave sleep, the body lowers pro-inflammatory cytokines, boosting anti-inflammatory signals. Sleep also supports clearance in the brain, removing inflammatory waste products that build up during the day. Even one night of poor sleep, as we mentioned, can raise markers like high-sensitive C-reactive protein, which is a marker that's quite commonly measured in the blood. Moving your body daily lowers chronic inflammation by reducing visceral fat, a major source of inflammation, improving insulin sensitivity and stimulating the release of anti-inflammatory myokines from muscle tissue. Even walking enhances circulation, which helps deliver nutrients and remove inflammatory byproducts. Practice breath work or meditation. Controlled breathing and meditation activates the vagus nerve, which triggers the anti-inflammatory pathway. This lowers cortisol, balances the nervous system, and reduces the production of inflammatory cytokines. Regular meditation has been shown to down-regulate inflammation, as has spending time in nature. Immersion in green spaces reduces stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, while exposure to something called phytonosides, aromatic compounds released by trees, enhances natural killer cell activity. Natural killer cell activity is the immune system's ability to destroy virus infections without prior exposure and lowers inflammatory markers. Sunlight also regulates circadian rhythms, your sleep-wake cycle, and vitamin D levels, both of which influence inflammation and immunity. And don't forget to create some digital downtime because constant screen exposure and digital stimulation keeps the nervous system in a state of hypervigilance, raising stress hormones and inflammatory pathways. By carving out periods of tech-free time, perhaps immersing in nature instead, we move the nervous system into a parasympathetic dominance rather than a sympathetic dominance, which is your fight-flight response. So we move from fight-flight to rest and digest, which is cultivating more anti-inflammatory pathways. So we want to start small, add 1 extra serve of vegetables per day into your diet, swap 1 processed snack for whole food, pause before you eat and chew slowly, reduce screens before bed, or perhaps it's drinking more water. It isn't about perfection because every small shift helps turn that flame down. So a few questions to leave you with. What signs in your body suggest inflammation? How do you care for yourself during flare-ups? And what might it feel like to live in a body that is cool, calm, and no longer inflamed? Inflammation isn't the enemy, it's a messenger. Acute inflammation heals us, but it is the chronic inflammation that harms us. Food and lifestyle can fuel or cool the fire, and healing can happen with small, consistent steps. Thank you for joining me for this episode of This Is How We Heal. If you'd like support on your journey, I'd love to welcome you into my clinic or join our Staying Healthy Together Club, where we go deeper into these practices together. You'll find us at all the details at apothecabyAnthia.com. Until next time, stay cool, stay calm, stay collected.
If this episode spoke to you, your healing journey doesn't have to end here. Join Anthia in her dedicated online community, the Staying Healthy Together Club, a space for real conversations and holistic health education with trusted resources. We'd love to see you there.